Hello everyone, you're watching Little Miss Swan. I am your host Miranda, and today we are talking about Schmigadoon. I will start off by saying that this show was a breath of fresh air for me. I loved it so much. It was witty, it was smart, it was hilarious, and just so charismatic in its delivery. This video will be a spoiler-free video. I'm just going to give my hot take on just what I felt about the series and just to give like an honest review about it. But before we go ahead, if you could be so kind and hit that like button, subscribe if you're not already, and put down in the comments what your thoughts are on Schmigadoon. If you don't know, Schmigadoon is a TV show produced by Apple Plus TV, centered around Melissa and Josh, played by Cecily Strong and Keegan-Michael Key, respectively. They are a couple that are going through a little bit of a rough patch, so they decide to go on a couple's retreat together, just to, reconnect their love that they used to have for each other. When accidentally separating from the group, they end up stumbling upon this town, Schmigadoon. But this town is a little bit different. Everything is legit a musical, and when I say legit, like think 1940s, 1950s, 60s musical. Initially, Josh and Melissa think that this is just like for show, like what they do for tourists and stuff that come to the town, but no. They're actually living in a musical now.
Leaf. It's like magic. We're in an actual musical.
Think like Teen Beach Movie or something like that. Not as like Disney Channel as that, but they're actually living in a musical. So the only way to get out of this town is to find true love. Like, are they actually meant for each other? Do they have true love? Do they think they have true love? But what adventures are needed to get to that point where they know that they are in love? Or are they? Each episode comes with like a message or a meaning behind it, like how to find a romantic relationship with someone and how deep the relationship actually is. As someone who's been in a relationship with my significant other for over 5 years, I can definitely relate to some of the situations that come across in the show. Like, any relationship is going to be very difficult, whether that's a friendship or a romantic relationship. But communication is definitely key. That's what I'll say. Sometimes it does take a rough patch for you to get back on track and to see where the other person is coming from and, get back to a place where you know that love conquers all. It's about following your heart. And that's one of the messages that come across in each particular episode, regardless of a situation that happens. Follow your heart. That message is reiterated not so much through the characters of Melissa and Josh, but also through the characters of the town of Schmigadoon as well. The tone of this show is just hilarious. Like, the comedy is like on point.
You're gonna want to drink that, Missy. That there's the gentleman's punch bowl. It's got alcohol in it.
Oh. Thank you for the warning, Larry the fireman. Okay, nobody gets killed in a musical, except Oklahoma, and Carousel, and South Pacific. Oh, hello, West Side Story.
That's all the musicals.
Like, serious issues are brought up in a very comedic way, like issues of oppression to do with, sexism, racism, homophobia, feminism. It's done very much in like that 1940s, 1950s, like comedic style of way with musicals and all that stuff. Its satirical nature doesn't overshadow like what's actually happening, because you get the commentary from Melissa and Josh in these musical numbers. It brings back the ridiculous situation of like what these characters are going through with like all the musical numbers and them being the outsiders, like, what the fuck is going on? I think it's like what the new Cinderella film wanted to do. If you haven't checked out my last video that I did on Cinderella, then you'll see my point. Like, it's very like woke approach to some serious situations, but it's done in a good comedic way, not in like a I'm so random kind of way, if that makes sense. The cast also is stellar. I mean, you got Kristen Chenoweth, Dove Cameron, who's also versed in Broadway, comedians such as Cecily Strong and Keegan-Michael Key, and also Alan Cummings and Martin Short. Oh my god, I don't think I could have asked for like a better cast, honestly. This show is very like on par with something that like Lin-Manuel Miranda probably would have like produced or starred in, but it's on a different level, but it's kind of reminds me of something like that. And down to the fact that we as a viewer are also like jumped in to this scenario where like the 1940s, 1950s musical, etc. Like, even the opening credits are like styled that way. Like, when you've got the cast members, and the old-timey sort of thing going on, like with films, how they would have been back in the day. I don't know, I thought it was just like really cool. Even how like characters would interact with each other. So Melissa as a character, she is actually a doctor.
I'm a little overqualified to be a nurse. I'm actually a doctor.
And she has a conversation with the town doctor in Schmigadoon, And I can't remember what they were talking about, but she's like, maybe you could prescribe less radium water.
I was a horrible doctor.
No. Although, maybe you could prescribe less radium water.
And that was actually a thing of the time. Doctors would prescribe radium to make people like live longer. And yeah, that didn't really turn out so well, as a lot of people died because radium, yeah, that's not good. That's not good. But yes, mentioning and like paying homage to like certain musicals such as like West Side Story, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Sound of Music, or even like Mary Poppins or anything basically with like Julie Andrews in it. These tropes are like dabbled across all 6 episodes. It's nostalgic, but Schmigadoon is its own little thing, but it's really nice to see like different references like here and there. I genuinely like loved this entire series, and I would highly recommend watching it if you're into like musicals and like all that stuff, or even like satirical humor used with musicals, like that sort of thing. I would probably rate it like a solid like 9 out of 10. So with that said, please give this video a like if you haven't already, and subscribe and do all that like fancy jazz sort of stuff, and I will catch you in the next one. Hopefully we are going to be doing some spooky content with Spooky Month coming up. I'm so excited. So yes, toodaloo!